So one of the most controversial debates within console gaming at the moment is the role of remasters and the effects that they may have on the availability of backwards compatibility features on future consoles. Now, although it is highly likely that if you're watching this you already know what backwards compatibility and remasters are, it may still be beneficial to provide these terms with brief definitions. So what's the difference? A remastered game is an old title that a developer has improved the quality of. This usually means that the graphics have been upscaled to make use of the increased hardware capabilities of a newer console or PC. Backwards compatibility, however, refers to a platform's capability to run software that was released for older hardware models. For example, playing an Xbox 360 game on the Xbox One. With regards to backwards compatibility and the current generation of consoles, the Xbox One has limited backwards compatibility features as it is able to run selected Xbox 360 titles, whereas the PlayStation 4 does not have backwards compatibility features at all. Remastering old games for newer consoles seems to be a relatively new concept. Perhaps it was just that I never really paid much attention to this action in the previous generation of consoles, but I never noticed a slew of PlayStation 2 or original Xbox titles being remastered for newer consoles. It is very interesting to note that many of the titles that have been remastered for the current generation of consoles are not included in the Xbox One's backwards compatibility list. As previously suggested with the PlayStation 4, the only possible option to replay these old games would be to buy the remaster. It is rather clear that the action of remastering favorite titles released on previous consoles is largely an attempt by both the console producers and video game developers to cash in on the gaming public's fanaticism. But is this really a bad thing? Some gamers do tend to make the argument that remasters were created purely as a means for console producers and video game developers to suck more money out of the gaming community. If a console has no backwards compatibility features and you no longer own an older generation console, then one does have to buy the remastered version of a game in order to play it again. There is some flaw with this argument though. It seems that remastered titles are not really targeted at gamers who owned the title previously, but rather at those who had never owned it before but would like to play it now. It is not just any game that receives a remaster. It seems to be mostly games that garnered significant positive feedback from the gaming community as a whole. One only has to look at the list of games that received a remastered version to see this, with examples including Uncharted, Halo, and Grand Theft Auto 5. Remasters sometimes also provide some gamers incentive to revisit an older title which they thoroughly enjoyed. This is also something that I have found to be true in my own experience. So after seeing the BioShock collection on the PlayStation Store, I was really tempted to buy it. I really did want to go and revisit Rapture and Columbia on my PlayStation 4, despite still owning all of the BioShock titles for the Xbox 360. With this in mind, it seems that remasters aren't really a barrier to the inclusion of backwards compatibility on current generation consoles. This, however, did have me thinking whether it was Sony and Microsoft's original decision to release their consoles without backwards compatibility because they feel that most gamers don't go back and play their older games once they have new consoles. This is also a notion that I have found to be true in my own case. Since purchasing a PlayStation 4 in 2013 and later an Xbox One, I have returned to play titles on older consoles perhaps a handful of times. Thus, I am unfazed by backwards compatibility features. Overall, I feel that I find more value in remasters than what I probably ever would with a backwards compatibility feature. This, however, does not mean that I don't believe that the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 should not be made backwards compatible. However, I do believe that there should be less hate for remasters. What are your feelings on remasters? Please tell me in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please do remember to hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.